In this video, we are going to be learning how to cut a fitted dress like this with half cut with princess that bustier and this kind of trendy collar, this kind of sleeve and with edge at the tip, just like you are seeing on your screen. Hi, my name is Uluwatosin. In case you are coming across my channel for the first time, and you're welcome. To all my returning subscribers, you're also welcome. Thank you so much for always stopping by my videos. So basically, here are the measurements required to measure on any adult at all to achieve a dress like this. And right here is the Ankara fabric that we are going to be working on. We will be using this white crepe as the collar and the sleeve as well. Then we're using this white edge for the lower part of the dress, just like you can see in the picture. Then I'll be using this navy blue cotton lining to line my dress. We are going to be starting with the half cut, to be cutting the half cut first. And to achieve that, there are some things you have to put into consideration. You have to check the highest measurement between the person's bust and waist. With this knowledge, that helps you to know the quantity of fabric you'll be needing for the half cut. So in this case, it's the person's bust. There are few cases that it can be the person's waist, like I would always say. So you measure a bust and then you'll be adding 8 inches allowance for front, 8 inches allowance for back. Now my fabric is on fold of 2. I divided our bust by 4. I'm bringing our fabric for the front panel first. I divided our bust by 4, then I added 4 inches allowance because my fabric is on fold of 2. That means I did a bust divided by 4 plus 4 inches allowance when my fabric is on fold of 2 to bring out the front panel. Then for our half length 16, I added 2 inches allowance, a bust divided by 4 plus 4 inches allowance when my fabric is on fold of 2 for front. Then I cut 2 of that. One is for front and one is for back. We're going to be marking for the front first. So the first thing is I'll measure a nipple to nipple divided by 4 plus half inch allowance for cutting and joining. Then I'll connect that into a straight line. On that line of nipple to nipple, I'll measure a shoulder to nipple plus half inch allowance. The half inch allowance is for joining the shoulder and the shoulder line. Then a shoulder to under a bust plus half inch allowance. I'll connect those 2 points into straight lines. Then from the nipple to nipple line, I'll go forward by 2 inches because she's not really a busty person. Like she has more of side than bust. That's why I went forward with 2 inches. If he's a very busty person, you can use 2.5. You can also use 3. So I drew the cup and then I went forward with 1 inch, backward with 1 inch. I connected these 2 points into the original cup. Guys, I have a detailed video on how to cut a princess that bustier on my channel. I'm going to put the link up and also in the description box. So sometimes I don't bring out my shoulder and my neckline and my armhole at this point. I prefer to cut and join, press, then bring it back to bring out my neckline, my armhole and shoulder. We'll get there, especially when I'm working on some kind of necklines like this particular one for this dress. So I proceeded to marking the back half length, then I cut lining for this, just the exact length for the lining, and then I proceeded to cutting it out. Like I said, I have a detailed video on how to cut a princess that bustier. The link is going to be in the description box. After cutting the half length, the next thing is to cut the pencil part. To achieve the pencil part as well, there are some things you have to put into consideration. You have to check the highest measurement between the waistline. There's something I call first hip, is somewhere around the skirt waist and then the hip itself. This helps me to know the quantity of fabric I'll be needing to cut the pencil part of the dress so that I don't get to waste any fabric at all. So this person's hip happens to be the highest. It can be the waist, it can be the first hip if it's somebody that has big tummy or probably a pregnant person. But in most cases, it's the person's hip. Another thing to put into consideration is the kind of slit that the dress is going to have. Is it a lapping slit or this kind of slit that just opens down, that it does not lap on each other? You have to put all of this into consideration. If your dress is going to have a lapping slit, you are going to be adding like 13, 12, 14 inches allowance to the hip. But if you do not have a lapping slit, 10 is fine. So in our case, I added 10 because it's not going to have a lapping slit. Our hip is 44. I added 10 inches allowance. I folded that into 4, leaving zipper allowance of 1.5 inch at the back. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. The next thing is I started transferring our measurement. Our waistline divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch allowance. From the waistline, I measured 4 inches downward. On this point of 4 inches, I measured first hip, that's a skirt waist divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Then I went downward with 4 inches as well. If I was cutting for a tall person, I would have gone downward with 5 inches before marking the hip. So on that point of the other 4 inches, I mark a hip line divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I connect these 3 points together. Then for the full length, I measured a half length, which is already 16. I made it invisible, just like I'm placing my taper. Then our full length is 38. I added 2 inches allowance because this dress is going to be fully lined. So I'll need 2 inches allowance to turn it inward. Then I connected the shaping downward and I proceeded to cutting it out. I placed it on my lining. I made the lining 3 inches short. Then I cut lining for back. I cut lining for front as well. Basically, that is it for the cutting of the upper part and the lower part of the dress. To the pencil sleeve now. The Ankara, which is the pencil part of the sleeve, I made it 6 inches long. I measured a round sleeve at that bicep region because that is where the Ankara stops. Then I drew a armhole curve. Then I just connected the round sleeve to the armhole curve. I added 1.5 inch allowance to the round sleeve. I cut the two sleeves, then I proceeded to cutting the lining. The lining is also going to be the same length with the sleeve because I'm not going to turn the down of the sleeve. Now, for the pencil part of the white part of the sleeve, I hope you guys get what I'm saying. Around sleeve at that point is 11. I measured 11, I added 1.5 inch allowance. Then I made it 3 inches wide. On fold of 2 now is 6 plus half-inch allowance that we used to attach it to the puffy part. I made it 7. For the puffy part, I folded my fabric on bias just like you are seeing on your screen because there's going to be pleating at the lower part and there won't be pleating at the upper part. So at that upper part, around sleeve is 13. I folded my fabric into two like this, like a 90-degree flea. I marked 14 because I'll be needing half-inch allowance to join this fabric together before attaching it to the sleeve. Then the actual length I need for this puffy part is 7, but here I marked 9. I proceeded to cutting that out, and basically, guys, that is it for the cutting. So this is the upper parts of the sleeve. This is what it's going to look like when I'm done joining. Then the lower part of the sleeve as well, it to be folded into two, and then that part will be pleated inside it to make it a little bit puff, just like you are saying in the picture. Like I said, this is going to be a cutting video. In my next tutorial, I'll be uploading how to sew this dress from start to finish. So stay tuned and watch out for my next video. Thank you so much for watching till this point. If you find it helpful, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, kindly do and turn on the notification bell so you get notified when next I upload new video on this channel. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.